What's up, DeGroote? Welcome to your weekly NBA Bizcast, where we provide you with the information that you need to know. We provide weekly highlights in tech, business, sports, and any other interesting stories. Listen while you work, steady drive, or on your break. Today is Thursday, July 4th. We're going to head right over to Tunde with some announcements. What's up, Tunde?
Hey, not much, guys. I just want to kind of fill people in on the stuff that's going on around the RJC right now. As everyone knows, we just had crazy kind of week last week, but things are going to be on the up and up starting next week. We got a lot of stuff going on this week. Next week, July 9th, we're going to have an HSM speaker series in the KPMG Lounge, 5:30 to 7. It's going to be $5 for members, 10 for non-members. It's basically going to teach you a little bit more about healthcare funding. This kind of crosses over a little bit with finance as well. They did some cross promotion with the Finance Association, and if you want to talk about financial models and all that kind of stuff, this is the place to be. Next, we also have on the 9th branding session with Scott Paquette, our info systems prof and the e-business prof for this current semester. It's basically about having your own website and what you need to do to kind of get your name out there. And last but not least, we're going to talk about this a little bit, and we're going to be at this next week, so you can come see us. The fun fair is going to be on July 11th. Big barbecue, carnival games. Everyone's participating. It's being run by the Entrepreneurship Society, and it's going to be prizes, and it's going to be a dunk tank, so it's going to be a really fun time. Basically, if there's any professor you ever wanted to, throw in some water, this is your opportunity, and we expect to see everyone out there. Last but not least, we've been getting lots of feedback, or I've been getting lots of feedback from our good buddy Celine at the MBAA on, remembering the forum, textbooks, housing, all that kind of stuff. The forum is really good for buy-sell trade, really good for leasing and sublets, so I want everyone to jump on that. That's kind of what we have for announcements this week. Kind of want to go on to some tech stories. Am I free here?
Yep. Right to tech.
So let's go into something this week that came up. I think it was a little bit last week, but it's Google Glass again. Newly minted NBA player Victor Oladipo was drafted number 2 overall by Orlando Magic. And before the whole thing started, he had a promotion going on with The Verge and some other promotional websites to get a free pair of Google Glass and wear them all day. So it starts off in the morning. He turns them on as soon as he gets up. He turns them on, and you see the life of a future NBA superstar. A bunch of his buddies come in. They're all going on about their designer suits. They're high-fiving, making a bunch of jokes in a really nice hotel room in downtown New York, looking over the skyline. He shows the whole thing riding the bus, being in the green room, like all this cool stuff, meeting all these coaches, former NBA players. Then a guy walks up to him and whispers something, and then you can't hear what he says back, and he whispers something, and he's like, "Oh, okay," and then make him turn off the glasses. The NBA is like, you can't wear video recording devices, you can't put this out. This is basically the same thing as that whenever you watch TV, and it's like all reports of this broadcast may not be reproduced without written consent. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he didn't ever they were like, no, you have no written consent. And they shut him down. Something that would have been such great PR for the league. Someone with Google Glass going through the draft experience, the draft through his eyes, shut him right down.
David Stern, the ultimate troll. There will never be a greater troll in sports history than David Stern. You know what? I wish they had the Google glasses on him when he did the Hulk Hogan, let me hear you to the crowd when he came out the first time. What a guy. 18-month retirement. Gotta love that guy.
And when they're booing him and he's like, I can't hear you, I'm just like, you're such a bad commissioner. You don't understand that the entire league hates you, all the fans hate you. It's not because they're all dumb, it's because you're a terrible, terrible commissioner.
And a bad person. Let's just call it for what it is.
Yeah. But yeah, so the league, and it wasn't even like, the league just comes right over, shuts him down right away, and you can't put them on until he's already been drafted, it's over, and he's out of the green room in just like a hotel room lobby. He puts them back on, and kind of goes through the rest of it. And of course, he's just been drafted. He's not going to fight the league, but it's kind of interesting, like this technology moving. This is exactly where most people would want to be, like day in the life kind of stuff of celebrities, of athletes. And it's interesting that one of the leagues already saying no.
Because they want their money. The NBA is going, where's my money? Do you know who's getting wealthy off this? Is Google. So, I mean, in a technical sense, I don't blame the NBA for shutting it down. But speaking of it being a great PR move, I completely agree, and I think the fans would certainly enjoy it more, and it would pay its dividends.
Well, it always comes down to a slice of the pie, though,
yeah.
Right? That's what it always comes down to. MLB has had this problem for years. You cannot get MLB highlights on YouTube. They have one of the greatest reservoirs of visual data anywhere in the world in terms of the highlight packages they've compiled over the last 60, 70 years of Major League Baseball, and they won't release any of it. We see this in print media as well. It's just a matter of figuring out how do you guarantee revenue streams from these new items, and until they can control that. When you don't have that control, it makes you inherently scared. So it's too bad. It would have been cool to see.
And the other thing I kind of want to talk about, this is more briefly, Motorola, I don't know if you guys know, they were bought by Google last year.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I think it's been 18 months now. Basically, Google's done nothing with them. They released no product, and they're losing money every quarter. They just recently announced they're going to release a phone in the fall that is designed and assembled. The parts are still going to be ordered from China, but designed and assembled in the States. 100% designed and assembled in the States. All the warranty will be in the States. Manufacturing will be in the States. Everything except for like the core components, like all the plastic, the fabrication, they're planning on doing that all in the States.
Now, I was reading about this, and the big thing they were pushing is it's designed by you.
Yeah, so
Can you kind of expand on that, because I was unclear on that.
So the design by you concept, a lot of Motorola phones have been using a very similar, I don't know if they're going to do this again, but they've been using a similar design where there's an outer frame, and for different carriers, for different purposes, they use different Kevlar backings. The backplate itself is actually not married to the actual framing. They make the whole phone on frame in one plate, laminate and glue it. So the design by you is basically the back. So the ring around where the frame of the phone will be and the back piece will be fully customizable. And Motorola actually has an app called Smart Actions that I have no idea why this hasn't caught on more. But Smart Actions is basically like a location and hardware aware app. So when you plug in a set of headphones with Smart Actions, it'll launch your favorite music player. If you unplug some headphones, it'll switch it out. If you go into a car with Bluetooth, it'll switch to car mode. If you go into your own home, it turns off the connections, changes to Wi-Fi. When the time goes late at night, it changes the brightness or it changes like the energy usage. When it just based on where you are, what you're doing, or what hardware you have connected, Smart Actions reacts. And if you buy any of their branded accessories, it'll start doing things like it'll project videos to DLNA to your TV if you hook it up to a dock. It's very aware, but the combination of those two things is what they're going to brand as the customized by you.
Okay, because when I first heard, designed by you, made by you, the first thing that came to my mind was, remember that episode of The Simpsons with Fungo? Was that little toy that all the students did?
Linguo,
something like that. And it's like, it needs lots of firepower, and it should be soft and cuddly, and
Linguo is dead.
Yeah. So, yeah, I hope it's not turning into some sort of robotic thing attacking the children of streets or
This is how Skynet will be.
Yeah.
By projecting DLNA to your television.
And the thing is, the reason I want to talk about it, because it is the 4th of July, and happy 4th of July to any American friends we have. But does it actually really matter? Like, if you're buying something, and let's say another company said, hey, we're going to sell you a laptop assembled, designed, and made mostly in Canada, would you buy that over a laptop that wasn't made in Canada?
I made that decision with the phone that I'm currently holding in my hand right now, and it's something that I regret.
It's a BlackBerry, by the way.
Yes.
It's a BlackBerry.
Well, you can't tell by how dysfunctional it is. You know what? The more and more I think about it, I'm more interested in quality. I consider myself pretty patriotic, but I don't think that's the way to make business transactions. You got to go for quality, and then now with the options that are available to consumers, I don't know why you'd make a decision based on anything but quality.
Because I think they want to they claim they're going to compete with Apple and Samsung, but their only differentiating factor is built in America. I don't know if there's enough people who are like, oh, I'm not going to buy this because it wasn't built in America. I'm going to buy this Motorola phone.
I think that kind of speaks to the difference between Canadians and Americans. I've watched a lot of, okay, maybe this isn't true representation, but if you've ever watched Shark Tank versus Dragon's Den, when it comes to Dragon's Den, those entrepreneurs are pure business driven. I want to make profits. And a big thing for Shark Tank for the American entrepreneurs is, I've seen it time and time again, I want this made in the States. I want it built in the States. I want to say made in America. And I think that actually makes a huge difference to Americans, much bigger than it would to Canadians. So it should be interesting.
That's it for me for tech this week. But if anyone has any feedback on the Made in Canada, Made in America, feel free to hit us up on Twitter. What's up, DeGroote?
All right, let's head over to POC with sports. So what's going on this week?
Oh, my God. So this is what happens when you take 30 not too intelligent people, also known as NHL general managers, and you throw them a curveball by pushing back unrestricted free agency to July 5th instead of July 1st. And now everybody's trying to make up for lost time by making a more idiotic mistake than their predecessor. All kinds of crazy stuff happening over the last couple of days. We've got compliance buyouts as the salary cap's coming down. We have terrible free agent contracts that are being bandied about. We've got crazy trades. One that's really interesting is probably the biggest story right now that literally just broke about 5 minutes before we started recording this, and Toronto fans have somewhat of an interest in this. The much maligned Tyler Seguin, local boy, second overall pick from a couple drafts ago, is being traded to Dallas for pieces that we don't know yet, but Louis Eriksson is going to be the main piece coming back to Boston. So that all ties into the old who won the Kessel-Seguin trade discussion. That'll be another component of that. But we have all kinds of weird trades going on, all kinds of crazy buyouts. Should be a really interesting week. And, of course, free agency opens up tomorrow, so that's when all the mad money gets thrown out. Toondays Flyers have already thrown out some mad money this week.
Honestly, it just makes me want to cry. I already ranted, I think, to everyone who listened about the Mark Streit deal. And people say Mark Streit's a good defenseman, he's serviceable. But the problem with Mark Streit is he's old. And then you say, how can we fix our team that has really poor defense? We signed one old defenseman, trade our best defenseman away, which is what they're trying to do with Braden Coburn, and then sign Vinny LeCavalier, because that's really what's going to fix a team with bad defense, is an old center. It always fixes teams with bad defense.
LeCavalier was the deal I was referencing. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. And there were some rumors that he was only going to take a one-year deal so that he could go back to Tampa immediately afterwards. But no, he'll be... Well, if you sign a long-term deal with the Flyers, if it's for 5 years, it means he'll be there for a year and a half.
Maybe two before they buy him out,
or trade him,
and just pay him all the money that he does not even have to earn. He's probably there by the time he retires. Probably have 2 full compliance buyouts, $50 million being paid to him over 10 years to not play hockey.
Is there anybody more fun during this time of the year than the Philadelphia Flyers?
No,
it's the best. They are the best entertainment in sports.
It's sad. And the Coburn deal they want to make makes zero sense. I don't know if you heard what they want to trade Coburn to Edmonton. And they basically will take any young Edmonton forward. Doesn't matter what position. If you're on Edmonton and you're a forward, you can come play in Philadelphia for Braden Coburn.
This is what happens, though, when you run yourself into cap trouble. You have to make bad deals to get under that number. And Philly seems to do it every year. Should be a lot of fun to watch what they do tomorrow. Free agency, again, I reiterate, opens tomorrow. So teams have been able to talk to players for the last 48-hour window, but now they'll be able to sign them beginning tomorrow at noon. It's usually on Canada Day, which is why I'm saying the GMs are making up for lost time by trying to out-stupid each other. So that's on the hockey side. I should also mention for our Leafs fans, Mikhail Grabovski just got bought out today, which I can't figure out for the life of me.
What?
Grabovski will no longer be a Leaf next year.
Oh, dude, no.
He was bought out. He will be a free agent, and that probably means Tyler Bozak's about to become a really well-paid young man.
And it was $10 million to buy out Grabo. It was 2 years. I think it was left at $5 million.
He had 4 years left at 5.5.
Oh, well,
so
there was more money than I thought.
He'll get 2/3 of it. He probably becomes actually the best center on the free agent market left, which I don't understand.
Well, the Leafs, they don't like guys who play really well under different coaches. So once the current coach says some guy's bad, just take it at face value, even if the guy's actually good. I like Kadri last year or 2 years ago. The coach is like, you're fat, you can't play, and he's sent away. I
think in general it's been a bad week for European centers in Toronto. Grabovski, Andrea Bargnani. I mean, I would certainly not want to be a foreigner in Toronto. Otherwise, you're getting shipped right out.
The Bargnani deal, just to move with the basketball a little bit, though, the Bargnani deal is what Toronto fans have been calling for. Even though personally, I don't think he is nearly as terrible as people think he is. The fact that every time he's on the court, they boo. When you're at home and people boo you worse than you are on the road, he needs to leave town. His confidence is destroyed. He's probably going home and eating cans and cans of Primo pasta after every game.
I eat Primo pasta before every game.
What's Primo going to do now? They just lost their number one guy in Toronto.
That's going to be the funny thing a week from now when they declare bankruptcy.
Bargnani left, sales tanked. No one was buying any more pasta.
The only thing I'll say about Bargnani, if you're going to be a 7-footer who thinks you're going to play like a shooting guard, get out of here.
3 rebounds, career
way too reliant on playing an 18-foot game, and that's never the guy that Toronto needed. So, good riddance, Andrea. Arrivederci. Nobody's going to miss you here. I think I'm speaking for most people here. Anyways, that's all I got for sports, and pay attention tomorrow. It should be a lot of fun. It always is with free agency.
All right, let's head right over to Franklin with some healthcare news. This sounds a little controversial.
Yeah, so I know we don't talk much about healthcare these days, but when we do, it's big. And this news is pretty big. So on Wednesday, at an AIDS conference in Malaysia, researchers from Harvard University announced that they had, quote-unquote, remove the HIV virus from the blood of 2 men previously diagnosed with HIV. Now, they're hesitant to say that they've cured the men, stressing that the virus, while it might not be in the blood, may be hiding in other organs such as the liver or the kidneys and be waiting to reemerge. But the story behind these men is remarkable. So basically, here's a breakdown of it. Both of them underwent stem cell transplants for cancer. The first one did so back in 2007 for leukemia. The donor of the stem cells actually had a rare genetic mutation which made him immune to infection by the HIV virus. So basically, on his white blood cells, the docking site for the HIV virus was missing, which means that the virus is completely useless in his bloodstream. So these stem cells are transplanted into the men with cancer, and at the time, they're still undergoing HIV antiretroviral therapy. But doctors, after the transplant, doing their standard blood tests, noticed that there's no HIV left in their blood. So Harvard University decided to take these guys on and do a little bit of a research test on them themselves. So the first guy, he's been off the antiretroviral therapy for 15 weeks, and the second guy, 7 weeks. And right now, there's absolutely no sign of the HIV virus in any of their systems, any of the blood at least. And this is exciting because it's the second huge announcement with regards to HIV treatment this year. The first one being a child who's been, again, quote-unquote, cured of HIV by giving a massive dose of antiretroviral therapy upon birth. So her story was she was born somewhere in the U.S., and her mother had HIV, and she didn't know at the time, so she wasn't able to take the medications that would lessen the chance of her child receiving the virus. So the child was born with HIV, and the doctor had a bright idea of giving her triple the dose of antiretroviral therapy right out of the womb. So they tripled the dose, and the mother took the child and went missing for about 18 weeks. So doctors expected, the virus would come back, it would replicate in huge amounts, and she'd have full-blown AIDS by then. When they tested her blood, 0 virus whatsoever. So, second huge announcement. It seems like they're getting closer to, if not a cure, at least some sort of treatment. But yeah, it's amazing news.
It's interesting with the bone marrow patients. The guy had that rare mutation. Because I remember when I was an undergrad, probably 2008 or 2009, I was in a virology class, and one of our professors was leaving to go study different mutations within AIDS work or sex workers in different parts of Northern Africa. So there's a bunch of people who were discovered. They're all sex trade workers. And the ones who seem to have been able to work the longest, they have rare mutations that on their white blood cells that block receptor sites or don't match up properly, or something that do with the replication process. They're able to keep the AIDS virus out of their cells. And I thought this is something that would have been more rapidly developed. It's not that I'm not saying I'm not impressed, but I'm surprised to see that this is coming from a different angle, where it's a different mutation that's doing the same thing.
Well, yeah. Well, normally, with any virus, there's multiple ways to disable its efficiency, right? So obviously, the coat protein is one way. If you can destroy the docking sites on the coat protein, either on the virus or on the host, you can disable it. Also, with the replication process, if you can disable it that way, it's great. But oftentimes, what you find in science is that it's hard to collect all the different information from such disparate areas of research and kind of connect them together to make I guess what you would call the super AIDS treatment if you do something like that. And often it comes down a lot of times to politics. Some professors might be working for Harvard and they might be looking at, the coat protein. Some of them might be working for, let's say, Oxford in the UK, and they might be looking at the replication. And to get people working for different universities on somewhat different aspects of the same topic to come together and research, it's a challenge in science.
And the other thing I'm thinking about is, if they did get a cure, what do you think it would cost? I'm feeling cost would be extremely, extremely controversial topic, because the majority of people suffering from AIDS are very, very, very poor.
Well, yeah.
It's the poorest of the poor. HIV and AIDS. I think AIDS is when it's fully blown.
Yes.
The poorest of the poor. So what are you going to charge people if you know the majority of people have no money to pay anything?
I guess it boils down to how much it costs to develop it, right? Because, the polio virus, they eradicated that 20 years ago and gave it to pretty much everyone for free, if I remember correctly.
By the end, they're giving it for free, yeah.
Giving it out for free. So, let's hope that this is one of those things that the globe is able to come together on and just, it's for the betterment of mankind that we're going to fund it and support it.
Yeah, I really do hope so. You know, the worst case scenario would be if a huge pharmaceutical company buys over the patent to whatever treatment and then just starts charging an arm and a leg. That would be ridiculous. Hopefully it doesn't come to that, though. I'd like to think that although the world has changed a lot since the eradication of polio, it's still basically the same and that human kindness and generosity will prevail. But, you know, maybe it might be wishful thinking, maybe not. I hope it's not wishful thinking.
Time will tell. Only time will tell.
Thanks for sharing that story, Franklin. Very interesting. So I saw World War Z a few weekends ago, and I have to start with WoW. Movie stars Brad Pitt as Jerry Lane, and he gets caught in the middle of a zombie attack in downtown Philadelphia. Jerry's worldly experiences as a UN employee help spring him to action in a moment of chaos in order to get himself as well as his family outside of the city and away from this attack. Jerry soon receives a phone call from the Secretary General, who manages to take Jerry and his family to a naval ship on the ocean. But before he has a chance to settle in, though, the U.S. Armed Forces is already sending him out to South Korea to try and solve this mystery, and at the threat of having his family kicked off the boat. So he essentially has no choice but to go.
Dirty move.
Yeah.
Dirty move.
So Jerry is sent racing across the globe, following whatever small clues he's able to gather, and with each city offering a new insight and an even more suspenseful zombie horde sort of looming in the background somewhere. And even the most seemingly safest countries have their weaknesses, and we start to learn that sometimes even the most simple solutions can offer the greatest results. Now, typically, I'm pretty indifferent about Brad Pitt. If he's in a movie, I'm not genuinely or overly excited that he's in it. He kind of just seems to play the same role for the most part for me. But I gotta say, in this role, I completely believed that he had survived the wilds and the harshest environments the globe has to offer. He did a very impressive job. I was completely sold that he was, a UN employee, genuinely tried to help save the planet. The storyline was great. You could cut the tension with a knife. I can't tell you the number of times that I thought Jerry was actually going to fail, that this would not work. Great movie. Go see it. Go see it right now. 9 bow ties out of 10.
Whoa!
9.
That's huge!
9 bow ties out of 10.
Okay, so first question I had watching the trailer for World War Z is how well is the CGI?
Oh, the great Zed versus Z debate.
Let's not get into this today.
Zed.
If the Americans made it tuned it's Z.
Sorry, go ahead. This is an unwinnable argument.
So how good is the CGI in this movie?
Impeccable. Now, mind you, I think that I've reached the point with CGI that I don't notice CGI anymore. I'm completely sold on how I truly believe that there were zombies running around and about to kill Jerry and all his family. My girlfriend kind of pointed out at the end of the movie that there's like one scene, you've probably seen it in the trailers, where the zombies are trying to essentially scale over one another to get over this giant wall to start attacking. That, I mean, it's pretty obvious that that's CGI, but I mean, you have thousands of rapidly moving pieces. It's very hard to make that look good. But no, when you have something sprinting after you, screaming its head off and just blindly trying to kill you, you felt like that thing was chasing after you. Incredible job.
I honestly really want to see this movie just because I'm just pumped that zombie movies are making a comeback, and it's all the good zombies now. Super fast zombies, zombies with speed, strength, and agility, not like just mindless husks walking around who you just don't believe it could ever actually take you down.
Thank you for saying that, because I completely agree. These zombies are genuinely scary. If you saw that thing chasing after you, you wouldn't think, oh, well, give me a second, I'm going to pick up this baseball bat and club its head in and boom, it's dead. Your first thought is, I'm going to die. I'm just going to die right now. I don't care. Just come and kill me. Because that's how scary and awesome these zombies were.
I had that feeling the other day in the Sodexo line when Conor was coming at me for lunch. I had no way to get out of the way. Didn't have a bat at my disposal. I was terrified. That was legit. That was better than any CGI I've ever seen.
So picture me on steroids and coming after that pizza in the lunch line. That's
just big ass bow tie coming out.
Honestly, though, it's awesome. Like we've been spoiled this summer. I went to go see Superman again last night. Like I was telling Conor earlier, and I saw Star Trek earlier. I've watched 2 movies this week. It's kind of crazy. I want to see a third. But we're looking at Star Trek was a pretty good movie. Superman was a pretty solid movie. Fast 6 was a really solid movie. now World War Z. Like, it's just one of those times where summer blockbusters are actually blockbusters and not just a bunch of terrible Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
The movie didn't have the Battle of Yonkers in it, though, did it? Which is in the book.
So, great point. So, I actually haven't read the book, but having spoken with my mom who's seen the movie and is reading the book, apparently they're actually quite different. You can read the book, see the movie, and have two totally different experiences. So I think kind of my next step is to definitely read the book.
Because I had seen on social media some of the fanboys of the book were a little disappointed that they didn't do that battle. Apparently it's
Yonkers?
Yonkers in New York, yeah.
I couldn't imagine what the guys in Yonkers would do.
Yonkers!
That would be, actually, that's going to be a hilarious comedy.
Then you get that baseball bat, we got this freak running at us. Smashing in the freaking head.
I'm picturing Cake Boss coming out and trying to fight these guys. 'Cause he's from Yonkers, ain't he?
Yeah.
Yonkers, yeah, or Jersey, yeah, he's somewhere around there.
Yeah. It'd be an interesting battle for sure.
So after we beat the piss out of these guys, I got a great idea for making a cake. It's a 3-layer pound cake, get it? I'm here all week.
Are we paying him for these jokes?
I should be paying you, please.
Yes.
That's why we had to scale back the budget. We lost all the free buffets. All the money goes to Alex now.
Which is why you
Yeah,
get so
free
angry
agent
at
that we just
Sodexo line
signed.
the other day.
On that note, thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed the show. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at What's Up DeGroote and like us on Facebook. If you want to contact us directly, email whatsupdegroot@gmail.com. This is What's Up DeGroote signing off.
Peace out.